And so last week, our meditation, which we're going to continue with today, was a product of us going into seeing what is consistent within our inner experience. Like, what do we have a consistent access to? So we've been exploring the topic of appreciation. We've been exploring the topic of joy. We have a consistent access point to ignite joy, appreciation, love, compassion within our own experience. And these are the only ever things that we're seeking. Like we're only ever seeking joy, love, compassion, peace, contentment, appreciation. So we may run around the globe to find these things, but once we realize that we actually can ignite and intend upon this within ourselves, I mean, this is maybe the most powerful element of our self-reliance. We are self-reliant on our ability to create our own experience, right, and to ignite our own state. So we'll go with that as an intention for today. So we'll just kind of get started. I mean, if you're seated or lying down, it doesn't matter too much, whatever's more comfortable. And whenever you feel called, we can close the eyes and just bring the attention inwards. And we're simply going to take a moment to rest inwards, meaning simply observing, simply watching. And so we'll take a few moments in silence here just to observe the movements of thought, the movements of sensation, and the movements of emotion that we may be experiencing in the body here. And if we feel called to notice the breath as well, we can naturally do so, just observing the natural inhale and the natural exhale. And as we come to a place of ongoingly just silently observing what arises, being non judgmental, dropping our expectations of what this needs to look like, and just continuing to come back to a place where we can witness without holding a bunch of ideas or expectations, judgments upon what is arising. And so in this space, we're not so concerned as to what are the contents of the mind or the contents of the sensations in the body or the contents of the emotions we're feeling. And because we're not so interested in the details of that, we can actually be deeply in tune with all of these things that are arising because they can just be exactly as they are. They don't need to change. They don't need to become better or different. They don't need to heal or be fixed. Nothing of this sort. We're just coming to a place of silently observing all that's naturally arising. And at times when we practice this, there may be certain things that may be holding more weight than others. There may be certain topics or perspectives or emotions that are holding kind of more space within your view, within your perception, within consciousness. And so this is generally not something that we need to go looking for. It's generally quite obvious. And so, what's important when this is happening at any point of our moment to moment experience, we're giving ourselves the opportunity to really be with whatever that may be. And to be with something means we're dropping our guard to it. We're learning to come into a deeper intimacy or contact with whatever that may be. And in this case, it may be a charged emotion or a perspective, a belief, a thought, or maybe some sensation in the body, something that's paining you. And so to truly be with whatever this may be, there's a call to action in simply coming close to it with your perception. So focusing your attention upon that region of the body, because usually it's going to be somewhere in the body or somewhere within your field of view that you'll feel that kind of almost like a magnetic pull towards. So we can naturally surrender ourselves to that magnetic pull, placing our gentle attention upon that topic or that energy, that perspective. And this also can be quite blissful. This charge may not be painful or be, you know, not pleasant. It may be actually very joyful. You may feel blissfulness in the heart or a certain rush of energy moving through you. And so, whatever is holding space in your field of view, you're just naturally moving with that. You're moving towards that. So, this may naturally begin to expand a sense of joyful ease and blissfulness. And on the contrary, you may also reveal maybe even deeper pain than what's on the surface. This may reveal an emotion that's more deeply rooted, that is quite intense and sometimes quite uncomfortable. So we can see here whatever natural direction we're being pulled into to uncover more of ourselves and more of the moment, we're surrendered to, we're accepting of, we're completely with. This is what it means to be deeply present with the moment, deeply present with ourselves and our body. And it may almost feel that you're sinking into layers of this perception, layers of this feeling, layers of this sense of yourself, both inclusive of the light and the dark. Nothing is being pushed away. In a sense, everything is being welcomed within this intention that we're sharing here. Everything is being sunken into, everything is being embraced. And you'll find that if there was something that was quite intense or charged, this practice may have maybe initially increased that charge, but over time there's a certain dissolution, a certain lightness, a certain space that opens up. And naturally we come to return into a sense of ourselves, a sense of natural ease and natural blissfulness and natural peace and contentment. This may be very subtle, but for some of us who may have been intensified in our practice, this may become more expansive, almost like a sun is radiating from the center of the body and expanding into all of the cells in the body. And this is something you can intend upon and visualize. This sun-like radiance can hold a sense of joy or appreciation or love for oneself and all of the natural perceptions of people, places, and things that may be arising in the mind. And as there's a recognition of a certain sense of natural ease, peace, and blissfulness in the body, the more that this is focused on, the more that this expands within one's field of view, the more that there's a natural and ongoing focus upon this natural blissfulness and ease within the body. This ease and blissfulness can, in a sense, exponentially expand, though it may seem slow in the beginning, but over time you may feel that this expansiveness of energy that moves through the body in a very subtle way almost takes on a life of its own, where there's nothing you really need to do here. It's just continuing to bask within this intention, within this energy, within this perception. Now, sometimes to increase this focus and help expand these sensations through the body, there can be a focus upon connecting with the breath. And so there can be an invitation here if we feel called to connect with the breath to slowly move the inhale through the nose and out through the nose right into the center of the chest. So we're breathing into the center of the chest at the front towards the back of the spine, going very slowly on the inhale. And then on the exhale, we can expand that towards the front of the body. We can also expand that through the body in every direction, whatever feels most comfortable. But with this breath, there's an intention on having it very gentle, but yet very powerful. And we do this by connecting with a very slow breathing pattern, 5 to 8 seconds on the inhale, and then the same amount of time on the exhale through the nose. But as we're cultivating this energy when we're breathing, if someone was looking at you, it would be like they wouldn't even be able to tell that you're breathing. There's such a fluidity, there's such a gentleness and a slow pace to it, but yet very much so a power where you can feel the movement and cultivation of that energy through the body. And if we are moving with this breath, we can continue for a minimum of about 12 breaths, but we can also just go with our own intuition when we feel naturally complete. And we may want to go even longer. But if we are, whether we're using the breath or not, there's an intention here of a very intensive focus where we're focusing on this natural blissfulness within us and potentially in conjunction with this bliss, the natural movement of this breath that we're moving, staying deeply focused upon these intentions. whenever we do feel complete with that breath, there can be a natural letting go of it, but there also may feel a call to continue with that. For some of us, it may support with continuing to stay in focus within the meditation. But at a certain point, we begin to feel what's beyond the breath, that sense of pure energy, pure consciousness, a natural blissfulness within the body, generally radiating from the center of the chest at the heart. And as this increases in its strength and its intensity, this begins the natural place of focus where it requires really not any effort to focus upon it because it's really taking up the entirety of our attention. And this is what it means to awaken to ourselves, to realize ourselves. We're realizing the natural blissfulness and loving nature in which we are. That the source of joy, love, peacefulness, compassion comes from within. It's not a product of an external circumstance or relationship or situation. It's the source by which our relationships, circumstances, and situations are manifested from. So we can feel and see here that the circumstances of our life and our journey in this human body is dependent on this state of recognition of ourselves that we have, this state of focus that we've brought our attention upon this natural ease, blissfulness, and peace and love that comes from within, even in the most subtle of ways. And remembering that as we focus upon it with increasing amounts of attention and devotion, and for increasing amounts of time, then this begins to overflow and filter into every crevice of our body, every crevice of our life, and every crevice of our now moment experience. And so we'll take some time to just simply rest in the silence for a few moments with ourselves here. And so, from this space of clarity that we may have come to, this connection to our heart and the source of ourselves, there can be a natural intention upon our day, the rest of our day, or certain situations of practical measure within our experience, within our relationships. There may be certain perspectives or certain people, certain situations on the mind. This energy can be directed to. You'll find that at any point in which you can come to this space of clarity in yourself and connection in yourself, whatever does come to mind that holds any degree of discomfort or discord or challenge will be very quickly dissolved. And so it lies a certain level of importance that the degree in which we're able to cultivate this energy inwardly is the degree in which we're going to be able to bring clarity to our life experience in all ways. And so you can take a moment if there's anything that you would like to direct that to. Oftentimes it will naturally come. You don't need to go looking for it, and you don't need to force anything either. We can also just bask in this energy and silence as well. As usual, for those that feel they want to continue, I'd highly recommend doing so. The longer you can stay in these spaces and focus upon that natural energy in your body, then the more benefits that you're going to reap. But naturally, for those that do feel complete, then of course you can open the eyes and complete that. So I'll make a note that when we're using the breath as a tool of focus, the breath is a tool that connects us to the energetic space. And so it's important for us to recognize the degrees of and layers that our breath can move in. When we're breathing in the way that we've done today, which is extremely slow, very gentle, and very quiet, generally increasing, 5 to 8 seconds on the inhale and then 5 to 8 seconds on the exhale. So we're generally going to not go past maybe about, or at least under, 8 breaths per minute, or generally lower. The average person is generally breathing 18 breaths per minute, which is extremely fast and generally ignite a source of the ignition of stress and anxiety. And in the yogic tradition, we view breath to be synonymous with our lifespan. The amount of the length of our lifespan is predetermined by amount of breaths that we have access and available. So if we breathe more rapidly throughout the moments of our day, we have just decreased our lifespan, decreased the amount of energy we have to sustain our body. So when we slow down the breath, we slow down all the faculties of the mind, all the faculties of our being. Everything that the body does is dependent upon the speed of the breath. And this is what induces these very subtle or more extreme senses of blissfulness, of peace, of ease, of a release of anxiety and stress and weight, energetic weight, emotional weight, physical weight, mental weight. So we use the breath in this way to help calm so that we can access these energies. So it's a very important tool. But then at a certain point, like I mentioned, when we start to feel this radiance of blissfulness from the heart, I remember years ago when it started for me, it's like a sun that starts radiating from the center of your chest. And you have that sun there all the day, all day, every day. It's always there. And it may be dimmed sometimes, but for the most part, it's always accessible. As that starts to be focused on, you start to cultivate that energy. And the cultivation of that energy is actually what helps it stay there. Like it gets set there. It's like a set point in your experience where you'll never lose it, right? It's like learning a skill. When you learn a certain skill, sometimes you're just never going to forget that. So this is the true purpose of meditation, is for us to cultivate an awareness of the inner faculties of our body, and specifically our energy body, where we understand that the source of our joy, our happiness, our blissfulness, our peacefulness, etc., is at the core of ourselves. And we have an ability to access it, for one, and secondly, direct it consciously. So I hope that's inspiring to you to continue with your practice, how often you're practicing. But you guys can always send me a message at any point. I'm on Instagram. I'm back on Facebook now. My account was deleted, but I made a new one. And you can always send me an email too. I know people have been sending me emails for other meditations, so I'll send that. But I'll be here again tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Other than that, enjoy your day.